Hi everyone, welcome to this getting started tutorial about the view multi-select drop-down list of Syncfusion. Imagine that you want to choose your favorite food items from a preset collection. Surely you would like to select multiple items from that list. In this case, the multi-select drop-down list of Syncfusion can fit in, which allows you to choose multiple items from a huge collection and also displays those selected items on the UI. I can also bind hierarchical data, do filtering, UI customization with templates, grouping, as well as can enable checkbox for multi-select drop-down list. Now, in this video, I will show you the steps to create a view project using the View CLI tool and will edit my code using Visual Studio Code, and finally, I can view the output result on any of the supported browsers. Okay, let me open the Visual Studio Code. And now, to create a new Vue project, I may need to install the Vue CLI tool globally on my machine using the command npm install -g at vue/cli. As I have already installed it in my machine, I am skipping this step here. Now, let me create a new Vue project using the command vue create multi-select list. Here, I have named my project as multi-select list. This will create an empty Vue application with no Syncfusion packages. Now, I will navigate to the newly created application folder. The multi-select drop-down list is available under EJ2 Vue dropdowns package, and therefore, to start using the multi-select drop-down list component in my application, first, I need to install the dropdowns package using the command npm install @syncfusion/ej2 vue dropdowns. This command will install the multi-select drop-down list plugin along with its dependencies. Once the installation gets completed, now my application is ready to use the multi-select drop-down list component. The first thing I need to do here is to register the multi-select plugin from EJ2 Vue dropdowns package. For that, I will open the app.vue file, and here let me import the multi-select plugin from Syncfusion EJ2 Vue dropdowns package and register the same plugin globally inside the API vue.use to register all child directives globally. Now, within the template section, I will define the EJS-multiselect tag inside the div element. Here, to get better look and feel, I have defined a div element with CSS style. The next thing is, I need to define the CSS for Vue multi-select drop-down list. So, let me import this component CSS using CDN link under the style section. Okay, let me save the application and run my application with the command npm run serve. This will start the development server and automatically reloads the page at any time whenever I make edits on my project. So here, you can see the multi-select drop-down list with no items. Now, to populate the items, I may need to bind the data source for the multi-select drop-down list component. For that, let me open the app.vue file, and within the data function, I will define the object variable local data and assign array of objects where each object holds two fields, namely ID and game. Now, I will map these data source field names to the appropriate options within the fields property of multi-select drop-down list component. So here, I need to define the local fields variable and map this ID to the value field and game to the text field. Now, let me assign this local data to the data source property of the multi-select drop-down list component. And I also assign this local fields variable to the fields property. Here, this data source contains a list of sports name. So, let me define the property placeholder with the value select a game, which will be displayed as a placeholder text on the multi-select drop-down list. When you look at the multi-select drop-down list, you can see the sports name listed here. You can also notice that The multi-select drop-down list displaying a short description as select a game as its placeholder text. Here, by default, the pop-up width is 100% and height is 300 pixel, but you can also set custom height and width to it. To set custom height and width for the pop-up, I need to define the pop-up width and pop-up height properties with the custom values. So now, look at the multi-select drop-down list component where the pop-up is displayed with custom height and width. Suppose if I want to bind remote data source to view multi-select drop-down list component, then I may need to make use of Data Manager library of Syncfusion. Here, the Data Manager acts as a gateway between the multi-select drop-down and data source and also uses queries to interact with both the local and remote data source. So, as a first step, I need to import the data manager and required adapter from Syncfusion EJ2 data repository. Then, let me define the data manager with the properties like URL, adapter, and cross-domain. In the URL, I will be using the already available remote URL service, which will retrieve the list of data through post action and bind the resultant data to view multi-select drop-down list. This remote URL service will return the data objects with such values. Also, I have set Web API adapter here as the URL is assigned with the existing Web API service. And cross-domain option is set to true to allow the cross-origin domain request. Now, within data function, I need to define a variable remote data and assign this data manager instance to it. Also, I need to map the data source fields, so let me define another variable remote fields. Here, I have used a remote data source which holds the following fields. Now, let me map this first name and employee ID to the text and value fields respectively. Okay, let me assign this remote data and remote fields to the data source and fields property of the multi-select drop-down list. Here, I have set the employee names as data source, so let me change the placeholder property value as select a name. And now, you can see the multi-select drop-down list which shows the employee names. This multi-select drop-down list displays the data items in the same order as it is given in the data source. In case, if I would like to reorder these data items either in an ascending or descending order, then I may need to make use of the sort order property. Now, I'm going to sort these data items in descending order, so let me define the property sort order and set its value as descending. So here, the data items in the multi-select drop-down list are sorted in descending order like this. Okay, now let me summarize some of the important points which we have discussed so far. We have seen how to add the view multi-select drop-down list of Syncfusion to the view application. Also, we have seen how to populate JSON data and remote data source to the multi-select drop-down list and how to sort the data source as well as how to set custom height and width for multi-select drop-down list pop-up. If you would like to see the working of this example, you can download it from the GitHub link which I have shared in the description part below. And if you find this video as useful, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel too. Thanks for watching this video.